Shut up and sit down.
Howdy and salutations. Welcome to Broken Table Commentary, a three-man creative discussion all about the greatest of fake sports, professional wrestling. Every episode, we each bring a different topic to the table. Topics can be ridiculous or serious, opinion or factual, creative or not, whatever we feel like. And as always, topics for this episode are in the description. On commentary, we have our Mark, the debonair diabetic dad, Lenton.
And I finally got the URL domain name back for the diabetic dad, which is good news, everyone.
Hooray! Our historian, Juice Man, Gucci Man, Michael.
Hello,
Hey.
and as President Gerald Ford once said, our long national nightmare is over. Thank you, AJ Styles, thank you!
And our critic, me, Jessel. You can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Facebook as Broken Table Commentary, directly at BrokenTableCommentary.com, or Twitter @BrokenTableCom. New episodes are broadcast Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode number 28, Lowboy. We got a lot of news because we missed a week, so we're catching up on 3 weeks of wrestling. There's new champs. AJ's ended the reign of gender. The New Day screwed over the Shield. Michelle McCool coming back, maybe. Lots of dingus stuff in the build to this crazy whatever Survivor Series War Games weekend. There's a lot going on.
What is a lowboy?
It's a type of table.
Oh, okay. I figured that, but yeah, that's as much detail as I need. Yeah, there's a lot of big stuff. What is everybody's, what was the most surprising title change that came out of the last couple of days for you guys? Out of those title changes that were just mentioned.
Neither?
Copy image address. Skype, and Lowboy. There you go. That's a Lowboy. That was important for me to do that. Tag titles. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect the tag titles at all. Whereas with AJ, I had a feeling. It wasn't a strong feeling, but it made sense to me as soon as I heard that Jinder was injured.
I never heard that, so...
Well, it was rumoured rather than ever confirmed, and he has just gone on record to deny it, so who knows. I do get the feeling it won't be the last of the title changes for Survivor Series, though. Especially given that they've just announced one title match for next week's SmackDown.
Yeah, Corbin, right?
Two then, because Charlotte's taking on Natalya.
Okay. Then yeah, there's two next week on SmackDown.
And that's the one that I think is going to have a title change, because I think they're going to go for Charlotte v Alexa Bliss at Survivor Series. Just based on gut feeling.
I can see that. I forgot that one was happening next week, so I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. But I did remember Baron Cara, so there you go. One of us remembered each.
I was possibly surprised that they ended the Reign of Terror on SmackDown, but I was happy about it, and I'll be happy about it for the whole fortnight it lasts. Till whenever they go.
I agree. With the first gender reign now over, we can look back at that and say, just man, didn't quite work, huh? I think he could eventually be like a great champion. I do believe it. I think he has the tools. He's not there right now, and he got pushed too hard and then booked badly. But I think he looks good. The Colossus is still a powerful, good finisher. His heel work is fine. If people liked Rusev doing this exact thing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and don't like Jinder, I think you're being a little hypocritical.
Yeah, I was very happy that they protected the Colossus, that AJ wasn't able to kick out of it. He had to just barely get his foot on the bottom rope there in that match. That was really good. It was a great match, the Jinder AJ match was. I mean, my only complaint about the whole thing is that the Jinder AJ match is based on the fact that Jinder had never beaten AJ. It's just based on that tiny little storyline inconsistency when Jinder has beaten AJ. That's my only complaint about it. It's been a good storyline. I mean, it was a good little build up the last couple weeks with Jinder attacking AJ the way he did last week, and then the match was really, really good on SmackDown. Definitely Jinder's best during his career, probably. So,
which is good, just like we talked about when we did our BTC Live with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, the match that he lost the title is the match that he showed that he was money.
Yeah.
Not the match where he got it, but where he lost it. And I think Jinder did the same thing. Not to the same extent, of course, because Kurt Angle was a god beast and will always be a god beast.
A god beast.
You have to use a master ball on Kurt Angle. But Jinder, you could get away with a few ultra balls.
And another thing I really enjoyed from SmackDown is we had a actual competitive man versus woman's match. And we've talked about that in the past, the WWE shying away from that. And they did it. It was, not a great match. It had some comedic aspects thrown into it. But, I mean, James Ellsworth got some actual offense in there and everything. I thought that was cool. I don't think it means we're going to get anything to the extent of what we had with China anytime soon, but it was a start.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's his run ending, though. To be honest, they seemed like they.
Oh yeah, since Carmella has cut ties.
Yeah. It seemed like they were putting a full stop on the Ellsworth story.
And WWE is cutting people literally from their employee line. I could see, which is okay. I'm not a huge, not okay. No. I don't want everybody to just lose their jobs, but Ellsworth, I've never been a huge fan of.
But they got rid of Sawyer Fulton, Summer Rae, and some dude off Toughen Up I've never heard of. But they also
Josh Bradell.
They also got rid of interesting people too, like Darren Young and Emma. The last one I was very sad about because I felt she was utterly underused.
Yep. She made too much of a stink, so all the wrestlers loved her and all the writers hated her. I mean, I hate that that's the case, but that is absolutely what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Emma on this, just like everybody else, but everyone but the writers.
Well, Raven once said if the writers come up to you and say we have to let you go and we can't find anything for you, he said, why does no one ever say sack the writers then?
That's fun.
I personally think Ellsworth is going to show up on Raw. I think he's going to. I think they're going to find a new managerial valet position for him on Raw. I think that's where he's headed.
Maybe. I suppose they've not Eugened them yet. Run him into the ground. So.
Yeah, he still is an effective heel, and he was an effective Whipwreck-esque babyface for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think they still see dollar signs with Ellsworth. So my guess is he goes to Raw. Maybe attach him with attaching him to Titus would be very entertaining.
That'd be fun.
Titus O'Neil makes another big signing, and he just talks about how big it is for a couple weeks, and then it's Ellsworth. Ellsworth coming out with the suit like Titus. It'd be great. That could be a really fun story.
Yeah. Well, the other big thing from Raw was that Pete Dunne showed up, which was quite cool. People were going, why wasn't he a heel? And I pointed out that he was they were filming it in the UK. A British wrestler could literally shoot Daniel Bryan on live Raw and get a standing ovation over here.
Pete Dunne's always, watching NXT anyway, I got the feeling that he's always been more of that schmarmy Jericho mid-card babyface. Where he would do this heel nonsense, but everyone loved him for it, so then he keeps kind of being a schmarmy heel, but he's still treated like a babyface.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how I always got. That's the feeling I got.
I've been going through and watching his matches through the the independents and stuff. Now that he's with the UK belt, and he wrestles a lot of those just as a straight up babyface because of the reaction he gets and stuff. He's not even trying to be a heel in a lot of like in his ICW shows and stuff like that. He's just straight up babyface.
Yeah. Well, it comes from the more kind of overness now too. 'Cause people all know who he is. Well, they knew who he was beforehand, but more casual folk know who he is now through the WWE connection. And of course that leads into the insanity of wrestling in 2017, which is not only do we now have people showing up in WWE that we might have thought a couple of years ago, like someone over AJ Styles, but now we have Chris Jericho going to New Japan to take on Kenny Omega, and Triple H.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah,
and Triple H showing up in ICW, the Glasgow promotion, as part of a thing with Pete Dunne. But then again, who'd have thought even 2 years ago you'd have Triple H showing up at an indie thing to promote stuff? That's just wrestling.
Yeah.
I have no idea where wrestling's going, but I think I like it.
Yeah, let's talk about Wrestle Kingdom, whatever it is going to be. I forget the number. 12?
12.
Yeah. The two big announced matches that will matter to our American folks in general is Cody Rhodes versus Kota Ibushi and as mentioned, Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. You guys have any thoughts on those? If you listeners haven't seen him, Kota Ibushi wrestled in the CWC and is generally considered one of the greatest cruiserweights of all time.
Yeah.
But because he's such a crazy, weird, free spirit, he refuses to sign contracts just ever. He just doesn't sign them. And he's a weird, crazy person. Like, after doing the CWC, he was offered a contract. He said, nah, and went and was a movie stuntman for a few months. Like, he's crazy.
Yeah, I was just looking at the card there, and this show's in January, and they've already got 6 matches set for it. I mean, if only there's a reboot like that, long term, give you something to look forward to.
Personally, it's a little too long for me, but I would like longer term. A multiple months is a little long for me.
WWE is a lot more storyline based than New Japan is, though.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the way they put together, because I watched Power Struggle, the New Japan pay-per-view that set up most of these matches, and like the way they set up the Kota Ibushi Cody Rhodes match, I mean, there's not much to it. It's Cody walking backstage and Ibushi looks at him. I mean, that's pretty much, and they'll say the match is going to happen, and then they won't do a whole lot more leading up to it, probably. WWE is,
yeah,
and I prefer the WWE method. I think at this point I prefer the New Japan matches, just because I've seen the WWE matches the way they're done a million times, but I definitely prefer the WWE storyline way. So, you take what you can get. But I'm very excited for those 2 matches. I'm excited for most of the matches that have been confirmed. I didn't even, like, the tag team the Young Bucks are wrestling. I can't think of how you say their names now, and I don't want to be clicking on the keyboard. I watched them for the first time when I watched Power Struggle, and they were fantastic. I love them. So I'm very excited for that tag team match as well.
That was War Machine, right?
No, it's, I can't think of their names.
Interesting. I'm not a Young Bucks fan, so that doesn't do much for me. Does Okada does he have his opponent yet for 12?
It's NATO, I believe.
It's NATO?
Yeah,
I think so.
and I very much like NATO. The way he grabs his eyeball and squeezes it
It's
open.
interesting. We might have to try to find a way for the 3 of us to do Wrestle Kingdom 12. It is the WrestleMania of New Japan, so that might be a fun thing for us to do.
I did hear that apparently Okada's reign is now the longest reign in New Japan history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
that doesn't surprise. Especially since they've now done Kenny Omega Jericho and made the New Japan US belt to keep Omega away from Okada so we don't get 3. Because that's the most interesting part of the whole Jericho Omega thing for me at all, is that they're actively keeping the third part, the blow-off of the feud, away from us as the audience. So it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just looking up who was in the bloody bread eating death match after Eleni was saying about how they aren't storyline as much storyline based. Because my God, that was an experience.
Yeah, I made Lenny watch it recently.
Oh my God, it's Kikuchi versus Ken Oka. For those of you who haven't, enjoy.
The storyline is amazing. The storyline is that the one guy he injured the old guy injured the young guy. So the young guy was in the hospital, and the only solace he ever found in his life as he was recovering was eating bread. So he knew that he could use that to gain his revenge. He could get his revenge for this, and he challenged him in a bread-eating death match. And the young guy lost anyway.
That's the exception to the rule. That's a pretty legit story right there.
Yep.
Look it up on YouTube, everybody.
Yeah, there is a version on YouTube that a guy did his own commentary on it, so there is some English commentary. It doesn't make it much sense, but it's there. But it's a fun match to watch just in general. Bread-eating death match. Can't miss it.
Oh, God.
With us talking about that, let's go ahead and get to our own favorites of something else. Let's go to topic number 1.
Hello. Yeah, that's my topic. Welcome to another round of your top 3. Each time this comes up, we take a wrestler and give them the top 3 of this wrestler from any show. Just what we think of their best matches or favourite matches or whatever the guys want to talk about, basically. Just to fill a few 20 minutes or something, please. Anyway, this one, under the spotlight, is Hulk Hogan. He's a bit elephant in the room these days with the WWE, but hey, let's travel back to when he had a career and focus on the arts rather than the artist, if you can call it that. Right. We will do the usual snake thing, draw thing. Which will allow Lenny to start because I believe he is a Hulkamaniac.
I am the hulkiest of Hulkamaniacs.
Yes. Well, go ahead then.
As in, I am the most like the Hulk, the Marvel superhero. That's a bad joke. All right.
Yeah.
Mine are my favorites because I am a mark, as they like to say, for Hulk Hogan, so I don't judge his matches by what is the best, because these are just my favorites. So these are my top 3.
Oh, hold on. Are we doing all 3 at once, or are we doing...
No. I'm doing one at a time.
Okay, I was just confused. Sorry.
So this is number 3 in my 3 favorite Hulk Hogan matches, and it is Hogan and Edge versus Billy and Chuck for the... tag team, I don't remember which tag team titles there were because there were 2 floating around at the time. World tag team titles, I believe. This is on SmackDown.
Yeah, I think it was World.
It's a SmackDown episode in 2002. I don't have the exact date, which I probably should have. You can look it up. It's on SmackDown. Billy and Chuck are the tag champions at the time. They're red hot, both looks-wise and heel heat-wise and popularity-wise. They have Rico as their manager, and Hogan and Edge are working together. And it's a really good Hogan match. He's not the hot tag that comes in and wins the match for everybody. He takes a pounding, and it's not even his moves that win the whole match for everything. And the crowd's super into him and Edge together, and him and Edge are just super fun together. And they win the belts and drop them later on to the Un-American tag team. But it's just a really fun, super fun tag team match with 4 super fun of my favorite wrestlers around during this time. So that's my number 3.
Cool.
I dig it. I like it. I would have added it if I'd thought about it. I literally only thought of singles matches. But if I'd thought of tag team matches, that would have been on there. Because I remember watching it live. I didn't have cable, so SmackDown was the only show I could watch. So I really, really liked that match. I love Billy and Chuck. Hilariously, Edge was my least favorite of the 4 in that match.
Yeah, he's probably my least favorite.
Hogan is now my least favorite.
What about Rico?
Well, I've come to like Edge more. I always liked Rico.
Okay.
Billy and Chuck with Rico versus Rikishi, that whole feud.
Hey,
I loved it.
Rico has a pinfall victory over Ric Flair.
Does he?
Good.
Yes.
That's what Ric Flair does. Ric Flair loves giving
Yeah.
people pinfall victories over him.
Oh.
He just wants to get pinned clean.
Yeah, there's the story of him and Lance Storm, and every time they tried to change it to a DQ, Flair came up with another way of getting pinned. but before we dovetail into Lance Storm stories, Jessel, what's your first for the top?
I don't have them ranked in any way, so I'm gonna go with the most controversial favorite first because I know who the two of you are, so I know that you will probably not agree with me. But so I'm gonna go with this one first: Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam, whatever it was,
2005.
where Shawn Michaels just oversells all through everything, and it's so much fun. It is one of my favorite matches to watch. It's unprofessional of Shawn Michaels to do what he did. Just like it's unprofessional for Hogan to backstage politic and change the ending of the match, kill a feud, kill a heel turn, and all those things. So everybody's kind of did weird, crazy things, but none of those things you see on screen except for the bumping around that Shawn Michaels did. And I love it. It's so much fun to watch. Shawn Michaels takes the big boot, falls on the ground, rolls, gets up, tumbles over the ropes, tumbles around. He oversells everything. It's so entertaining. Hogan is gushing blood because he blades himself a little too hard, and because Shawn Michaels doesn't. The best thing about Shawn Michaels' oversell is he doesn't undersell any of the offense either to make Hogan look the fool. He only makes Hogan look too Hulk Hogan-y, which is what makes Hogan look the fool. So he makes Hogan's moves look good, but too good, so we know it's fake. It's such a crazy, weird, funny, entertaining match. I really like it. I would highly suggest people watch that match. It's very funny.
When Michael gave this topic, I went back and watched it, and it's not as bad as I remember it being. If besides the fact that Shawn oversells the stuff, like you put it very well, making Hulk Hogan look as good and as powerful as Hogan thinks he is in his head is what he's doing with his moves. Besides that, I mean, they actually do a pretty good. It's a good match. I mean, it's a good little storyline in the match. It's certainly not a bad pick, and it is very funny.
It really is unfortunate that it ended up killing the three-peat.
Yeah. It is a funny match, too.
Yeah.
And anytime you can have a funny, also good match that is a once-in-a-lifetime, literally, dream match, you accomplish a lot in a match. So I understand that being on there.
Yeah, it's actually on my short list, but it was like one of the last that I dropped. I mean, it's a fun, memorable daft match. Possibly his last memorable match.
Sorry. Ignore my gasp.
Gasp of shock. I can't even think of matches he's had after then that could cause a gasp of shock, but I will sit in suspense.
Ignore my clickety-clacketing. I have to look something up real quick.
Well, I was like,
Yeah, keep going. I'll edit out all this.
Yeah,
You said
I'll edit all
ignore
this
it,
out.
Michael. Ignore it.
yeah, I was just giving him a second till he did most of the typing there so he could edit that bit out. Right,
okay.
Because I'm
Yeah,
late.
no worries. I'll edit it out. You guys just keep talking.
Right. So I've gone for that's my first one. I've gone for a match. Basically, I've gone for ones where I've thought they were really good matches, and Hogan showed me something beyond his normal routine. And the first one is it was taped in 1985, and it's from Saturday Night's Main Event, and it's Hulk Hogan defending his WWF Championship against Terry Funk. Now, I've always gone on with the basis that Terry Funk is possibly the greatest living pro wrestler. Many people say Ric Flair, but they're wrong. Just joking, folks. Um, but somebody who also thought very highly of Terry Funk was Hogan, who says that Funk was the man who kind of got him really interested in wrestling, made him want to become a wrestler himself. Um, so in '95 he did a challenger. He suggested Funk. Funk was like, okay, but I'm not losing to the leg drop. So this brought a really interesting 15-minute match where basically Terry Funk uses every Terry Funk heel trick in the book, and Hogan actually plays it as he is vulnerable to being outsmarted for the belt in this match. Um, and the really interesting thing at the end is that because it doesn't end on the leg drop, it ends with Hogan's old finisher, which was the Axe Bomb, or the clothesline, the super clothesline, which is a really a cool finish when you're expecting the leg drop, because they kind of work around it, and then there's a sudden finish. Um, it's just a really cool sprint.
Well, I've never seen it, so I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, definitely.
It's on a bunch. It's on a bunch of stuff, and I built it. It'll be on the network because they've got all the Saturday Night Main events up there now. So I always think that's a really cool match. Speaking of cool matches that are mostly forgotten, I'm taking us to another continent here, and I'm taking you into. In fact, I'm not only taking you to another continent. I'm taking you to another decade. Taking you to the 1990s in Japan, and it's Hulk Hogan, the WWF champion, versus the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the Great Muta. Now, this is an amazing match. It's basically because Hogan is in Japan, and in Japan they have a different mindset to WWF fans in America, so you can't go through the Hogan routine. So he starts bringing out all the stuff he can actually do. Like, he hits the enziguri, he puts submission moves on, he does takedowns, and he actually wrestles. There's a great running clothesline right down the apron and into the ring that makes the crowd go ooh. There's lots of great stuff in this match that I have never seen Hogan do anywhere else, because he clearly saw that this was a work rate show, and he just basically shows everyone that if people wanted Hulk Hogan to be a work rate wrestler, he could have been bloody good at it, but he never really needed to be. This is one of the few times you actually get to see him, at the top of his game in that, and it's really enjoyable. It's from 1993. So that's two underrated, possibly forgotten, but legitimately great Hulk Hogan matches. And now I'm going back to Jessel for his second.
I certainly need to find the Great Muta one too. You've told me about both of these, and I never watched them. I always go, yeah, good Hogan match, and then I don't think about looking it up. I'll actually have to do it. I didn't want to go next. I'm going to have another controversial pick. It's not controversial, just no one's going to agree. I really like Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice at WrestleMania, whatever it was, 8?
Mm-hmm.
I think that match is under or over criticized, maybe is a better word. There's a little story that's told over and over again, and it actually continues a storyline of the Rumble, because in the Rumble, Sid had it won, and because of tossing Hogan out, and then Hogan pulls Sid out, and and everyone's unhappy about it, and it leads to a different win. So then we have this match opens, and very quickly Hogan just throws Sid out of the ring Rumble style, just no problems, and Sid takes a great tumble, and it's hilarious, and then the match starts, and he does it again. Like, Hogan proves that he could have beaten Sid Justice, and Sid sells awesomely, and they have just a really fun match, a higher energy match than Hogan Ultimate Warrior, which surprised me, because I didn't think it was going to be higher energy, but they really did go a little faster, and I really liked it. I think as a main event to a WrestleMania, it was super fun. Now, there was the mistimed event, certainly, but that mistimed event actually ended up making the match be more unpredictable because it forced Sid to kick out of the leg drop, which was crazy, and that's super cool. It's lots of really neat, memorable things happened. As you can see from both of my picks so far, the matches where they had to start improvising and Hogan had to get off his regular grind is what I like, which I think Michael actually ended up picking. His two also did that, where when Hogan had to stop being Hogan and had to start doing other things, it's really fun. But yeah, I really like Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice, so I picked it.
That does not surprise me that you picked that one. I forgot that one happened when I was looking through thinking and stuff. I forgot about that one. I like that one, from what I remember.
The storyline tosses over the top rope, or the thing that puts it over the edge for me.
Yeah.
It's just really nice.
Well, Lenny, you're up with two now.
Well, unlike our esteemed Jessel and Michael, who like it when Hulk Hogan doesn't act like Hulk Hogan, all my picks are matches that everybody knows. I mean, I guess some people may have forgotten that Hogan and Edge won the tag titles during Hogan's 2002 run. Some people. They shouldn't. But all my other picks are just probably some of the more popular Hulk Hogan matches where he just Hulk Hogan's it up. That's all I want to see. The Great Muta match is a really good match that Michael mentioned. I watched that during my research for this. And I was very impressed by Hulk Hogan during that. I don't want to see him do that on a regular basis. I don't want to see my Hulk Hogan wrestle. What is that about? But that was impressive. I did enjoy that a lot. But my next one is, and I actually didn't want to put this one on here. I don't know why I didn't want to put it on here. This is weird. It's just a weird thing. For some reason, I was like, man, I don't want this to make the list. But it's hard for it not to make the list for me as someone who just likes regular Hogan being regular Hogan. But my second favorite is Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18, which is just a Hogan-y Hogan fest of Hulk Hogan being Hulk Hogan. He comes in as trying to be a heel. He started succeeding. When he first shows up in 2002 to do the whole NWO thing, he's getting a little bit of applause, but he still has enough heel heat to where it could work. They do the whole semi-truck taking out the Rock thing, and that gets him a little bit of heat going. Like, they do enough to where there is some belief that Hogan's gonna work as a heel going into this match. But then when they get there to the WrestleMania and they both come out there's just no chance that Hulk Hogan's gonna be a heel in this match. And it's really cool to watch the crowd, basically. It's the power of the crowd. And it's cool to see how much that seems to shift the match and shift how Hogan and The Rock react to everything. And every single moment seems to be just designed by the crowd's reaction to stuff. And it's really cool to watch that. And that makes the entire match. And Hogan's fantastic in it because he's Hulk Hogan. And he acts like Hulk Hogan in this match. So that's my second pick, is Hulk Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania 18.
Nice. Certainly a match that none of us will ever forget for the crowd reactions and how they both turned from face heel to heel face within the space of 20 minutes.
I heard a stat about Hogan's 2002 run that going into 2002, Hogan had never tapped out to any wrestler, and then 2002 he does it twice. Now, is that true, Michael? I know that it's true that he taps out twice in 2002, but did he never tap out before that?
Yeah, that's a Vince McMahonism for his top babyface to never tap. Yeah, I remember that to be the case.
So in WCW,
Michael, you can confirm though.
Oh,
he
hang
never
on.
taps.
Wait,
in
I
WCW?
was going to say there that as far as I remember, when Angle did it That was the first time, but I think it was the first time in WWE. And incidentally, see when that happened, I was in the room full of my friends watching it. And when Hulk Hogan actually tapped out to the ankle lock, there was just stunned silence. It's like nobody saw that coming. Um, but while you were just saying that, you guys will remember this more because I think you were watching at the time, but didn't Luger make Hogan tap for the WWE title in '97?
I think so.
In the torture rack? Really?
Yeah,
I don't
he?
remember it.
Uh, uh, uh,
If he did, I want to find it because I think that's cool. I don't remember it. Man, that's cool.
I am seeing if it all. Yeah, wasn't when Luger won the WWE title on August 4th, '97 on Nitro? Wasn't that by submission? I'm pretty sure it was.
I,
I don't remember.
I've got a link that says on this date in history, Hulk Hogan or Lex Luger submits Hulk Hogan. So
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
It was the whole Luger did something against NWO at last, and then they had him job like 3 days later. So it never mattered.
I guess it's a WWF WWE submission stat and not a.
Right, I certainly don't recall him ever submitting in his original run. So yeah, I think Angle was the first time in WWF land. Or WWE.
All right, sorry. I just wanted to ask if Michael knew the answer to that.
That's a good question. I'm glad he knew. That's cool.
I even managed to correct myself because I was about to say yes, and I suddenly remembered Luger. And, that'll please Jessel because, that means his Luger indoctrination is working on the rest of us. Oh, man. So, yeah, Lenny, you're third.
Oh, okay. And then number one, I have Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior. I think I've talked about this match several times on Broken Table Commentary and several different lists and whatnot. It's a IC title, WWE title, WrestleMania match. Hogan, Warrior, both baby faces. They're both just being themselves, but turned up to, I guess, I don't want to say turned up to 11 because that sounds super cheesy and corny, but that's what I'm going to say, turned up to 11. But it's probably my favorite WrestleMania, one of my second favorite WrestleMania match of all time. But it's definitely my favorite Hulk Hogan match. I like almost all my matches. Hulk Hogan loses, and all of them Hulk Hogan doesn't get the pin at least because Edge gets the pin in the other match. So that's interesting to look at and think about the fact that I don't have Hogan getting the pinfall in any of my matches. So yeah, that's my number one: Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior.
What about you, Jessel?
I talked about Hogan Ultimate Warrior earlier. And the reason I didn't say anything about Hogan The Rock is because that one's my other one. Hey, remember how I mentioned that the last two matches, the thing I liked about it was Hogan had to improvise? Hey, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. Hogan enters as NWO heel Hogan, and 2-3 minutes into the match, you can see The Rock and him switch roles. You can watch them start calling the match on the fly. And see The Rock play that match heel, and they react to the crowd, everything like Lenny said. But from a technical standpoint, for me it's really fun. I've been for the past couple months now, I've been really paying attention to the ring general, the guy who in the match is the guy who calls the moves. Like normally, you're not supposed to be able to see it, and that's good. If you're Cena, you always see it because he just looks at the camera and says, "I'm gonna hit a suplex." Like he almost straight up tells everybody,
I'm gonna hit a suplex.
But it's really fun to see see The Rock and Hogan react to the crowd and start calling this match improv style, which is really, really good and really fun from a technical standpoint. And again, that improvised anything can happen performance-y thing that is what's lacking a lot in WWE currently. It's one of the things that everything kind of feels homogenized. Everything feels like it's a little overly written. All three of these ones, for whatever reason, have this spark real and improvised and ad-libbed stuff, and I dig it. So I had to mention Hogan and The Rock. I technically had another one written down, but I'd be dishonest if I didn't say this one because it was in there. So that's my third.
Yay, twinsies.
I find it interesting that neither of you have gone for any of the Hogan Savage matches, because neither have I.
That was the other one that I had that I could have said, but I'd be dishonest if I didn't include The Rock.
Because I haven't gone for it either. My last one is one that perhaps you might have been surprised I went for, but you'll have to remember that I am essentially the history-interested person here of the three of us. And this is a match that is very historical. Well, it's weird to say that about a match that happened in sort of everyone's lifetime, but it is historical now that decades are passing. And I am taking you to 1998, when Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome defended the WCW World Championship against Bill Goldberg. Now, this match, which had only been set up 6 days earlier, because WCW were allergic to money, I think they sold about 40,000 tickets in 6 days for the Georgia Dome, so they would have had a pay-per-view smash if they just built it. But who am I to give lessons to a company that have been dead longer than TNA have been around? So yeah, it's the undefeated rookie against the top heel in all of wrestling at the time, and it's a no DQ match, which leads to a rather amusing Tony Schiavone botch where he says that Hogan doesn't need to beat Goldberg needs to beat the champion, and you think, no, it's no DQ, Hogan still has to win. But it's very much the definition of a sprint. I don't think it even goes 5 minutes, if that. You've got Goldberg immediately grabbing the belt and throwing it away to make the symbolic gesture, but Hogan's getting the upper hand through low blows repeatedly and cheap shots. And Hogan keeps trying to take the match to the floor and using the chair. So he gets Goldberg in the ring and he hits the leg drop and hits the second leg drop. And then the camera nearly misses Goldberg kicking out the leg drop to catch Karl Malone hitting Kurt Hennig with a diamond cutter. Look, I love Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. He, main man, but my God, keep the cameras on the damn ring. So Hogan's obviously like, oh shit, Goldberg just kicked out my leg drop. And he turns around and gets his spear, and the entire arena basically goes apeshit. And Bobby Heenan, who, for the last 6 months, basically Bobby Heenan, 2 matches into the streak, decided on camera that Goldberg was the man, and he has been fanboying it ever since. And basically Heenan is yelling, finish him off, this is it, do it, come on. So Goldberg gets the jackhammer to Hogan and gets the free count. And the undefeated rookie becomes a world champion, and Hogan probably is the only person he ever fully put over in his entire WCW run, given the whole Sting shenanigans and whatever happened later with Jarrett and all that rubbish. So this was the one time that he's able to actually put someone over in the ring with no comebacks. And it should have settled WCW's financial issues for the foreseeable future, but of course it didn't, because they did stupid things like not put this on pay-per-view and tasers and hiring Vince Russo 3 times. So, but yeah, I think we covered, we covered nearly 24 or 5 years there of Hogan and brought up a whole bunch of good matches, most of which you can see on WWE Network for only $9.99 or whatever the hell its price it is in your region. So that was fun. Let's go to topic 2.
Okay, Michael.
Topic number 2 is my topic. Thank you, Michael. My topic is to book the first ever Hollywood Dream match in the WWE. We'll together give a little bit of history on what the Hollywood Dream match was going to be. Taking you back to 2005, WWE heading into WrestleMania 21, Chris Jericho did not have anything to do heading into WrestleMania 21. So he went to the WWE writers. I forget the specific writer. Brian whatever? Gurwitz?
Yeah, Brian Gurwitz.
Okay, I couldn't remember how to say his last name. And they started putting together an idea. And the idea they came up with to present to Vince McMahon was the Hollywood Dream match. WrestleMania was billed as WrestleMania Goes Hollywood. It was going to be at Hollywood. They were doing a big movie parody thing heading into it and all that kind of stuff. And the idea of the match was it was going to be a 6-person match. At this point, it wasn't specified what kind of a match, if it was a ladder match or whatever. And the winner of the match would get whatever wrestling dream they had come true. So they went to Vince McMahon with the idea, and they threw it at him, and then Vince changes it. He says, okay, well, they would get a shot at the title. Oh, and then instead of just getting a shot at the title, we'll put it in a briefcase and we'll hang it above the ring. Oh, and then they can cash it in at any point. And that's how the Money in the Bank was born. So basically, Chris Jericho gets credited with coming up with Money in the Bank when he came up with the Hollywood Dream match, which sort of I can sort of see a connection. They both had 6 men, and they both were going to happen at WrestleMania. So yeah, I guess Chris Jericho came up with Money in the Bank.
Well, it's great. I think even kayfabe came up with Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah.
Don't they even announce that Jericho created Money in the Bank? That's one of my favorite things about it. That's really neat.
Yeah. So my thing is, let's pretend that their Hollywood Dream match is going to happen. I guess I never specified that you had to book it in this time frame. You can book it in an old time frame. Just book the first ever Hollywood Dream match in WWE is my topic. So Michael just talked a lot, so I won't make Michael go first. I guess Jessel can start us off.
Okie dokie.
He should have a fun one.
I actually wrote a whole ton for this. I actually book it for the next 5 years. So here we go. The next 5 Halloween Dream matches.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. As soon as I started writing it, I kept coming up with ideas. So Goldust wins the lottery. That's the...
Okay.
Yeah, like he wins the actual lottery.
Okay.
Yeah, he is destitute and sad after all this stuff with Bray Wyatt, and we have these vignettes of him taking a retirement tour, but he's being super overdramatic about it. He's like, oh, and he's looking forward to his golden oldies and all these other silly jokes. But in the end of these vignettes, he wins the lottery. So then it suddenly changes these vignettes into him going, it's essentially the jerk with Goldust. He essentially goes from down on his luck to highest of riches in wrestling, and he's so incredibly excited. He comes out. You can give him a little bit of a gimmick shift to do kind of the D'Angelo De Niro or a babyface version of what JBL did with the money, and he comes out and he's just having a great time. He's just so happy because he's so rich. So he comes out on Raw and he gets a microphone and he says, I have decided that I'm going to do something no one else has ever done, and that is do something for the wrestlers like me. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? But, that's the end of that until SmackDown, when he also shows up on SmackDown and he says, my dreams will come true. And then, eventually at the pay-per-view, he announces that he bought 49% of the WWE off of Linda, who is now a politician.
Oh, goodness.
And he is going to use his influence to make a brand new match that he is going to fund himself completely and fully, that he's calling his Hollywood Dream match. Goldust wants excitement. So he books the very first one, It is a 6-pack match. It is the first competitor to 3 falls wins. Falls are pinfalls in submission only. And he shows a scoreboard that will go up on the Titantron where you can see 3 gold medals show up next to the competitors' names as they wrestle. So the first one to get 3 pinfalls or submissions in this 6-pack match wins. This happens at the next Survivor Series. So in this alternate reality where I'm booking this year's Survivor Series, he has a Vanna White-esque woman and a Oscar man, both just completely dressed up in gold, as his 2 beautiful assistants that they're coming out with him, and they've come out with him for the past couple weeks on the shows, and they keep track of the scorecards. And Goldust has a big golden chair and sits up there and watches the Hollywood Dream match. So what he does is, over the course of the weeks leading up to Survivor Series, he makes an open invitation to anyone in the roster at all, and he's going to make their wish come true. So anybody is allowed to do these golden promos where they can tell the audience their Hollywood dreams. So some of the wrestlers do and some don't, and eventually six wrestlers are picked: Zack Ryder, Samoa Joe, The Miz, Sami Zayn, Rhino, and Heath Slater. So it's a very mid-card gimmicky match. Everybody, some of them say their dreams and some don't, but ultimately Zack Ryder does end up winning this 6-pack challenge, getting 3 pinfalls, and he gets to have his wish done, but Goldust tells him, wait, you have to wait until next week. So he's not allowed to say what his dream is at the pay-per-view, so we drag it out longer. Eventually, Zack Ryder does win, and he talks about how he never got the chance as a wrestler to do what he always wanted to do. He never got to wrestle Hogan.
Oh, cool.
Hogan was his favorite, and he hates that so many great wrestlers we don't have the chance to wrestle. So he creates his dream pay-per-view, which Goldust then takes and he steals like one of the random pay-per-views that nobody cares about, and he just changes everything about it to call it Hollywood Dream, the pay-per-view, which will now be the home of the Hollywood Dream match every year, and it is a inter-brand pay-per-view, and that's Zack Ryder's dream, to create this dream pay-per-view where people compete for matches with legends and Hall of Famers and stuff like that. Kind of like when Jericho wrestled Steamboat or Kurt Angle's return, that kind of thing. We can have like one-offs of wrestling legends come back for matches once a year at the Hollywood Dream, and wrestlers compete in different like tournaments to try to get in there. It's super cool. I'm not going through the whole thing of what it is, but it finishes with Zack Ryder wrestling Hulk Hogan. Well, that doesn't finish the pay-per-view, but that happens at the pay-per-view, and it's like a 6-minute match where Hogan goes through his bare minimums, and Ryder and him just have a fun match, and that's Ryder's dream, and I think that'd be cool. So then the next year, Becky Lynch comes to Goldust, and she's mad because Goldust said everybody's allowed to have their dreams come true. Well, why can't I? Why can't the women? And Goldust was like, I think it's fair, but it doesn't matter. So it takes a while, but ultimately she gets added for the first time to the Hollywood Dream match, making it five guys and her. She ends up winning, and her dream and her wish that Goldust makes happen is that the WWE completely integrates, so women can now compete for every title in the WWE.
Nice.
Then the next year, Kevin Owens wins, and he wishes for a title shot for every title. He's like, I get a title shot for all of them. Every single one. Every belt I get. He's like, you're not a cruiserweight. I don't care. So they find a loophole and so on and so forth, and he ends up, the story of that ends up being Kevin Owens holding all the belts, and that's hilarious. And then the next year, Neville, who is now returned, comes back, and he says, I just want a title shot at WrestleMania. And Goldust's like, really? that's it. You can just do the Rumble or whatever. You can just have Money in the Bank. He's like, no, I just want a title shot at WrestleMania. He's like, well, you got to give me something. He's like, fine. I also want WrestleMania to be in London, and then they do it. So Neville's wishes for WrestleMania to be in London, and Neville has a WrestleMania match against Brock Lesnar. That'd be great. And I could come up with more and more and more off the top of my head, but that's 4 years of Hollywood dream.
Well, that's fantastic. The way you actually came up with why it is a Hollywood dream match and it exists like that is really, really good.
Yay, thank you. I like it.
Yeah. And having Zack Ryder winning face Hogan is just so perfect for how the podcast is going so far.
Yeah.
It is a Hogan podcast.
Exclusively. We're changing it.
What?
We're now the Hogan Boys.
Oh, God.
Michael, what'd you think?
I like Jessel's ideas, especially the one he nicked telepathically off of mine.
Hooray! Well, I'm excited. I like when we are serendipitous.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we borrow a tiny bit from each other, just changed a little bit. So.
Perfect. Well, I'm dying to hear what you guys did similar.
Alright, I'll do me next. It doesn't exist as cool as Jessel's, and it doesn't shake the foundation of wrestling quite so much. But I'll do mine. So the Royal Rumble comes around, this upcoming Royal Rumble. I did this is all based on if right now this is how we're going in this world of wrestling. Which I think Jessel did the same thing. I think he just went back a little bit so he could then set up for this Survivor Series. So he basically did the same thing. Royal Rumble's coming up, and a couple of guys aren't going to get to be in the Royal Rumble. R-Truth is just not asked to compete in the Royal Rumble because you can't fit everybody with how big the roster is. Jeff Hardy can't be in the Rumble. He's been cleared by all his doctors, but there's one WWE doctor that's like, oh, no, you can't compete. So Jeff Hardy can't do it. Aleister Black, he wins one of those NXT Rumbles or Battle Royals to get a spot into the Rumble, but then the night of the Rumble, one of the heels, I guess I have it down as Adam Cole, I don't know who'd be the top heel at the time, actually beats up Aleister Black and steals his spot so he can't get in. Sami Zayn is being punished for being a dick on SmackDown, so he doesn't get put in. Tyler Breeze loses the coin toss that a tag team always does at the top of the top of the ramp, so Fandango gets to go instead. And then The Miz is on his way into the Rumble, but one of the big monster baby faces just got eliminated, so he takes out The Miz, and so The Miz never gets to get in. So all those guys have a gripe as to why they didn't get to be in the Rumble, and they're all really, really mad. So they've been, they're upset. The Miz is kind of the leader of this protest. That he starts getting them all together, saying, "Look, we are being treated unfairly. We need to do something about this." So they're going on Raw and they're going on SmackDown and protesting the fact that they're not getting their fair shot. They should have been put in the Rumble for all their different reasons. Blah blah blah. But everyone's ignoring them. The general managers are ignoring them. Just get them out. Get security to get rid of them. So they're punished to the point of they're all kept off from WrestleMania. None of them are even going to get a match. So you get into WrestleMania. The show's starting. You get through the pre-show. You get to one of the title matches. I have a U.S. title match, and they all come out and they just destroy this match. They destroy the title match. They take the title with them. That match is just completely off the card now. Those guys are just had the crap beat out of them, and they leave. They're like, all right, now we'll leave WrestleMania. Now that we have this belt, we're gonna get a belt no matter what. So they're gone. Next night on Raw, Vince McMahon shows up. He's super upset. He's starting to fire everybody. So they come to the ring because they have to. He's saying, oh, you got to give me the belt back. And they give him the belt back, but now the belt's just destroyed. The U.S. title's been cracked or whatever.
Oh, that's a great image.
And now he promises them that they're never going to get a shot at the title. He said, look, you guys wanted to be in the Royal Rumble because you guys wanted a shot at the belt, but none of you guys are going to get a shot at any of the major belts as long as I'm in charge. But I understand that you guys all have this gripe and you guys all have this problem, so I am going to give you this. And that's when he comes up with a Hollywood Dream match. So it's not nearly as cool as the Goldust idea. That's fantastic. But his consolation is the Hollywood Dream match at the next pay-per-view. We'll just say the payback is going to be in Hollywood. I don't know where it's actually going to be. It's probably not Hollywood, but in this setup, it's going to be in Hollywood. So they can't challenge for a belt. Doesn't matter who wins. None of them can have a shot at the belt, at the main belts. So he wants to know what everybody wants if they win it. So everybody has to say it. They can't be discreet about it. So R-Truth wants a shot at the European Championship if he wins. So that goes along with R-Truth not knowing what's going on in the WWE. I think that's very funny. Tyler Breeze wants the keys to the WWE costume vault that has all the costumes through all of wrestling history. So he can, they can do all their fashion files, and they can solve all the cases they haven't been able to solve yet. If Aleister Black wins, he wants to take the third hour of Monday Night Raw and give it to NXT on USA Network's time. So Vince McMahon's really not happy about that, but he's like, okay, I told you, if you win, you get it. The Miz wants WWE to produce a biopic about him if he wins. Jeff Hardy says he knows that his career has gone by him and he knows he's out of his prime and stuff, but the biggest moment of his life was when he wrestled The Undertaker for the title in a ladder match, and he just wants one more match with The Undertaker. So if Jeff Hardy wins, he wants The Undertaker. And Sami Zayn wants a title shot for his best friend Kevin Owens since he can't get a shot himself. So they're going to have a 6-man over-the-top match, so it's like a Royal Rumble. Not exactly Royal Rumble. Nothing super clever like your match, which, again, it was a fantastic idea. I don't know if I mentioned that that was a great match-type idea. What? Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm blushing. It makes me happy. Thank you. I'm liking what you're doing so far.
Oh, well. So you get to the match. R-Truth is eliminated early. Get R-Truth out of there. Next out is Jeff Hardy. Tyler Breeze eliminates him, and that's a lot of people are shocked because they really wanted that. Sami Zayn gets eliminated by Aleister, and then The Miz gets eliminated by Aleister. So now it's Black versus Breeze, and everyone's like, okay, well, this is kind of a shocking situation, and Vince McMahon is sitting at ringside because he's really invested in this, and he's getting kind of uncomfortable. Because he really doesn't want to lose that extra hour of Raw TV time. He sees big money in that. He's not a big fan of NXT. He makes that known. So it's going back and forth for a good bit. Fandango comes out, and he's really cheering on Breeze. The fans are getting behind Breeze. They know him a lot better than they know Aleister Black, because a lot of people don't give NXT the attention it deserves. Breeze starts getting really overwhelmed with the fan support, and he gets Aleister Black down, and he's just not thinking, and he climbs the top rope because he's gonna jump off and do Fandango's leg drop. So he's on the top rope like an idiot, and Aleister Black gets up and pushes him off, and he lands on his back. Oh, but Tyler Breeze has his feet on the steel steps. Oh, Aleister Black, he's not paying any attention. He thinks he's won it. He thinks that Tyler Breeze is out of the way, and slowly Breeze is climbing up the steel steps. And he rolls into the ring, and he grabs Black, and he throws him over the top rope. And Tyler Breeze has done it. Tyler Breeze has just won access to the WWE costume vault in the first ever Hollywood Dream match. And
I like it.
That's how the first one's booked, is that Tyler Breeze and Fandango now have access to every WWE costume that has ever existed.
They need those clues.
I thought, I could change wrestling and do something really huge, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'd rather just do something silly.
The tease is better than actually doing it sometimes. I like it. I dig it.
Michael, do you love it?
I think it's quite good.
Don't you want to see Tyler Breeze wearing Mr. Perfect's little...
Well, I like Battle Royale-esque matches, as you know. But I like the story. It's far... The both of you have gone far more in-depth than I did.
That's fine. I'm mainly interested in what the dream that gets fulfilled is for everybody, so as long as you have that, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, I've got that.
What... Well, what happens, Michael? Take us on a journey.
Well, I struggled with this one for ages because couldn't understand what the six-man Hollywood Dream match was, even though Lenny went at great depths to explain it. And eventually, the way he explained it in the topic is how I just went for six people, each with a dream. Um, how shall we start this one? Right, start with the fact that Finn Balor gets fired by the authority figure on Raw, whoever it is. I don't care who the heel authority figure is, to be honest. Like,
Sure.
because they're all the same, basically. Stereotype, but yeah, they fire Balor, and then this brings AJ Styles onto Raw because he wants Balor's job back. And they've already heard like no chance. And AJ's keep like you know that's my friend. You bring him back. Meanwhile, Shane McMahon shows up on Raw, and he says that he's fed up of just owning SmackDown and it all being 50-50. You know, he is the firstborn son, and he should be Vince McMahon's rightful heir. He wants all of it. Um, and so Vince goes, "Oh, I see. I see ways of building up tension here." And he comes up with the dream match, and Shane's going to be in it. And if he wins it, his dream can be that he will be Vince's heir. You know, and all of WWE will be his, basically. But there'll be five other people in this match, and it will be a ladder match, which I assumed everyone was going for, but amusingly, we've all gone for different match types here. So this is a six-way ladder match, like at WrestleMania 21, and Shane McMahon is in it, and if he wins it, he gets to be in entire control of the WWE when Vince dies. Not to worry about Triple H and Stephanie. So AJ is still fighting the authority to get Balor back, and they go, "Fine, we'll put you in the match, and if you win, your friend can be unfired." So AJ's like, "Alright, I'll have to go in for that." Which brings Samoa Joe out, and he wants to win the match because he says if he wins, he wants the power to just fire everyone. He doesn't care about anyone else. So they think, oh, well, there's Samoa Joe in the match. Round about this time, we keep seeing Will Ospreay in the crowd, and he interferes in a few matches, and basically he gets taken out, kind of like the Radicals in 2000, but extended over a period of time. And finally, the authority he's like, yeah, can I have a contract? I'd love to wrestle for WWE. And they're like, no. But however, we'll put you in this match, and if you win it, you'll get a WWE contract. So he's the fourth guy in the match, and and everyone in the match so far, three of the four people in the match so far, have to win it, and Samoa Joe just wants to piss everyone off, basically. The fifth person is actually Sasha Banks, who, in her drink, is that she wants women to be allowed to compete for all the men's titles.
Yeah.
And that just leaves us with one more person. And this is where I was running out of dreams. So I've got Sheamus in it, because he wants to put the British Bulldogs in the Hall of Fame. So it's a different sort of a different thing, and I couldn't think of a British person who'd want to do it who could actually still wrestle, and wasn't blacklisted. So we've got our six people, and at various points during the match, they all look like they could win, but in the end, AJ Styles kind of hits low blows Shane McMahon off the top of the ladder, reaches up, grabs the dream contract, and he officially unfires Finn Balor. Now this makes him very unpopular on SmackDown because Shane McMahon's like, you just cost me all of wrestling and I brought your friend back, and the whole thing is that AJ doesn't trust Shane, or because he thinks absolute power corrupts absolutely. Balor comes back and he's very popular because he's been out for a few months, and they're all happy about this. But all through this, Shane keeps pointing out that, you know, if you couldn't trust me, why do you assume you can trust Balor when he's come back? And then essentially it all leads to AJ Styles turning heel on Balor in December because he did all this and he feels like no one appreciated him for it and he didn't even get a thank you. And it all gets far more heated from that, and it basically becomes a WrestleMania title feud. The end.
Nice. I was wondering because I was thinking as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, AJ gets up there and he hasn't won, and then he just chooses to not, and he fucks off. So he just says, fuck you, Finn.
Oh.
But you did it a different way.
Yeah.
I like it.
I should also point out that they would have then tested Sasha Banks' dream out with time. The Bulldogs would have gone in the Hall of Fame, and of course, hopefully the match would put Will Ospreay over, so he would have wound up finding some way to get a contract. So it would have all built. You know,
Yeah, I actually thought with your setup, Ospreay would be your winner. That's the one that, if we were doing a prediction show for whatever pay-per-view that was on, I would have guessed Ospreay would have won.
Well, I figured there would be another way for him to get his job, but they have to like test the waters with him, if the crowd were like, yeah, whatever, then thingy. But if they were like dying for him to win, then you know you've got someone you can go with. Plus,
Yeah, that's true.
It helps set up the AJ Balor feud, especially with Shane's involvement. So
That's I'm trying to think back in wrestling history of have I seen a feud done by two babyface, like a babyface gets another babyface's job back and then he's not thankful enough and then they start fighting? Like, that's a really cool idea. I really like that.
It's how I thought they were going to go with like Cena back in 14-15, but then it just got dropped. Or I was just seeing things where there were no patterns.
I think I remember you and me talking about that. I think I had the same feeling with you. I think I was with you on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a very...
I really like the Hollywood Dream idea. I like all our incarnations of it.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very fun thing. I wish that it would have actually seen the light of day.
Yep. I don't know if did you actually mention what the original plan for the win was?
No,
with,
I didn't.
Original Hollywood Dream.
I
Yeah,
did
the
not.
original Hollywood Dream's pitched win was RVD winning and bringing back ECW, which, as Michael alluded to, the Dream was a thing that would probably going to happen anyway, and that is what happened in the WWE because they brought back ECW. But that was the original ending for the original Hollywood Dream. Even in Jericho's own pitched match, he didn't win it.
Oh, I wonder what Jericho had for his dream. Oh, man, I would love to know more. If I ever meet Chris Jericho, that would be the question I ask him, what his dream idea was.
That's a good question. Oh, that's a great topic. Ooh, I'm gonna pin that one. I want to pin it.
Because who else was in that match? There's Kane, Edge, Chris Benoit, and Shelton Benjamin,
Christian.
right?
Isn't Christian?
Is Christian in the first one?
Yeah.
Isn't that the Christian Tomko nonsense? The first one?
Yeah.
Or is that the second one?
First. They were both gone by the second.
Okay. So then had to have to come up with what all their dreams would have been at the time. That's tough.
I dig it. Hey, if you guys dig it, tell us. Come up with more. Clearly, the thing we like even more than everything else was hearing what you think other wrestlers' dreams would be. So let us know what you think other wrestlers' dreams would be, because it's fun. I like the Hollywood Dream. But let's go ahead and move on to our, since it is an hour 13. Let's move on to my topic.
3.
My topic is a little easier and sillier and a nice way to just end the day. I asked everybody, hey, make a WWE video game that is not a wrestling game at all.
Yeah, baby.
So, not WWE 2K, 18, something more along the lines of the dumb app game that's just Candy Crush for wrestling. You know? Something like that. It is not a wrestling game, but it is a WWE sponsored video game. I will go me, then Michael, and we'll end with Lenny. I think that'll be good.
Okie doke.
So my as a video game player, I got a Switch for myself recently, and I've been playing Mario Odyssey because puzzle platformers are my favorite game type other than RPG. So it was tough to pick between the two, but ultimately I really want a JRPG like Final Fantasy on the SNES style game, but it's WWE. So, the idea is a JRPG with wrestlers that have been fired by the WWE. I really, really want it. A huge fantasy epic. You can collect different wrestlers and have them on your team. You put some together and you unlock rivalry powers or tag team boosts. It would be so much fun. Something like Final Fantasy meets Pokemon. The idea of a kayfabe adventure that has to do with wrestling is super fun to me. I love, we've talked about it before on here. I love the idea of the wrestling world. I talked about Ultimate Muscle. Lenny talked about Super Pro KO, which I've now bought all 3 volumes of. I definitely think you guys would enjoy it. So go check out Super Pro KO. So my pitch is 16 bits and everything. We start with a corporate takeover of the WWE by an anonymous general manager. He ends up firing everyone. WWE is closed and replaced with robots. So now all wrestling is done with robots and the humans are gone. So you are on a quest to go find wrestlers, add them to your roster, and so it ends up being kind of like Pokemon, kind of like that, except Suikoden is another JRPG that you go around and you have to talk to people and get them to join your army. So it's like a combination of those two things. You are the legendary manager, and you unlock different manager costumes, so you can be Bobby the Brain, you can be Ted DiBiase, you can be Slick, so on and so forth. And the storylines themselves would homage famous storylines in wrestling. You think that the anonymous general manager is Bischoff, so you go searching for him in Atlanta, but then you learn that his New World Order has nothing to do with any of this. You can have different branching paths if you join the New World Order or you don't. Eventually it's revealed that, that's right, player name, it was me all along! And it's Vince McMahon was the anonymous Raw general manager anyway, who replaced him with robots. Just, I love the idea of taking all these little famous WWE things and making them new in a new context in this silly JRPG wrestling thing. And if I had my druthers, Xavier Woods, Big E, or Kofi would be your characters you pick, and they each have different stats. So you pick to play as 1, 2, or 3, and they have different stats, and then they lead on, and you put them in the silly costumes. Just like they did for Halloween. If you haven't seen their Halloween costumes, where Xavier was Jimmy Hart, Kofi was Brother Love, and Big E, I forget who Big E was dressed as, but they dressed as managers.
Yeah.
So all of this, it's great. So that's my pitch. I don't have a name for it. I should probably name it. I'm gonna name it Final Fantasy Booking WWE. I don't know. I don't have a good name. But that's my game.
I'd just like to point out here that one of our fans, if they've listened this far, will be horrified that the one person that Jessel couldn't remember there was that Big E was dressed as Akeem the African Dream, aka the one-man gang.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He wasn't a manager. That's why I didn't remember it.
Yeah, that didn't fit the theme. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of JRPGs as well. I don't know if the Persona games fall under JRPGs.
Yeah, they're JRPGs.
Yeah, I love those. I like those more than Final Fantasy, but I also like Final Fantasy. But I'm a big
Final Fantasy's hit or miss. The good ones are great, and the bad ones are whatever.
Yeah. But I really like the idea of it being let go people, looking for Eric Bischoff stuff in Atlanta. There's so many possibilities with that.
And then you could do 2, and you do New Japan jokes or whatever. Oh man, it'd be wonderful. Michael, what's yours?
You ever played F-Zero X?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wrestling game. Basically.
Are the wrestlers running?
Yeah, it's like, well, I figured now that we've got modern technology, if the old game on an N64 alone could have 30 cars, then you could probably double that in modern technology, especially since most of them get killed in the first lap. 60 wrestler cars, and they're all going over these insane tracks, and you can bump people off the track to get extra lives, etc. It's just a wacky car racing game with wrestlers. Because I thought about Mario Kart, but apparently I just learned that WWE actually did a Mario Kart game called Crush Hour, and it was
They did! I was about to say that, Crush Hour.
and it was apparently shite.
It is. It's so terrible.
Oh.
It's so much fun.
So apart from doing that right, and my obligatory reference to GoldenEye, which I couldn't work out how to turn into a WWE game without the censors and everyone going, "Oh my God, this is not the done thing in modern society." So hey, a cartoon wrestling game like F-Zero X, but with wrestlers, that would be cool because F-Zero X was amazing. So that's my answer.
Nice. You ever played F-Zero, Lenny?
I have played F-Zero.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
Yay!
Hooray. I'd buy that.
Though I am disappointed to hear that Crush Hour exists.
You're disappointed?
Based on my answer.
Uh-oh.
Huh. Well, oh well, that's fine. That's okay. It obviously wasn't very successful because this is still my answer. Because I'm not gonna be able to come up with another answer in the 10 seconds since I found out about Crush Hour.
Hey, Lenny, if Crush Hour was successful, do you think we'd have actually heard of it before today?
Well, my game is the completely original idea of taking wrestling and making a racing kart game out of it. Because my favorite games are the Mario Kart games. Now, WWE has never messed around with this idea before. But it's called WWE Rumble Racers.
Oh, good name.
And I came up with 8 wrestlers. And each of them have their own specific thing that they will be driving. John Cena will have one of his muscle cars. The Rock will be on a Brahma bull, so he'll be on a bull. The Undertaker will be in a hearse. Stone Cold will be on his 4-wheeler. Goldberg will be in his big Goldberg monster truck that he had when that was part of the old Monster Jam thing back in the day.
Oh, great reference.
Rowdy Piper will have a hot rod that he'll drive. Ric Flair has a limousine because he's a limousine riding, and sometimes when he powers up, it is then a jet flying. But it starts off as a limo. And DX has a tank. They have their big DX tank. So then you have all these tracks that are based on different pay-per-views and theme things. You power up by collecting belts on the track, and then you have your 4 moves that you get depending on what belts you collect that are on the track. And if you let yourself collect all 4 of those moves, then you get your special move. Like John Cena, if he collects all those moves, then he gets his special moves. He gets You Can't See Me, so then he turns invisible, so nothing else can attack him for a duration. The Rock uses the People's Elbow, and then little people fall from the sky and hit little elbows like bombs all over the track. Ric Flair, like I said, he turns into the jet flying, and so he's got like this super speed boost, and he flies over everybody and stuff like that, you know. So everybody's got a special move. I have one for everybody. They don't have to get it to everyone. But the best part about all of it is my Royal Rumble mode. So there is a Royal Rumble mode that my wife actually came up with most of it because I was coming up with this idea with her. She hasn't heard of Crush Hour either, okay, everyone? So the Royal Rumble mode, everybody's put on a map, a special map, and every 90 seconds, parts of the map disappear. They fall off, so the map gets smaller. So you're trying to bump each other off the map, and every 90 seconds the map just gets smaller and smaller until it's just a tiny little piece of map. So it's kind of like the Royal Rumble. Every 90 seconds, instead of the ring getting more people in the ring just gets smaller. So it's still, I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, I like it. I dig it.
So there's my video game, duBBew Rumble Racers.
If it helps, Crush Hour isn't Mario Kart, it's more Twisted Metal.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Both of you pitched a different car game that's not actually too similar with Crush Hour.
Yeah, this is an outright, you do 3 laps and you win the race. And Twisted Metal, if I remember, is like battle modes. Aren't they all battle modes? Okay.
Yep. That's what Crush Hour was. Stone Cold, I think, actually shoots beers.
Well, I won't mention one of Stone Cold's power-ups then. What? That's like one of the only 3 things he does in wrestling. So what am I supposed to do?
I don't know. I can't blame you. That's gonna do it for us this week. I hope you guys enjoyed Lowboy as we all got low. Get low. About wrestling. We got low about wrestling. We got under the ring, where the kendo sticks live. The kendo stick factory.
And Hornswoggle.
Yep.
I don't know why I'm drawing this out. Anybody have anything else they want to say before we say goodbye?
I'll just say that in a world where duBBew are signing Rockstar Spud, I will leave this asking Lenny and Jessel, who the fuck is Rockstar Spud?
Do you want an answer, or are you
I
just
was
making a
being
joke?
facetious.
Nice. I'm glad that I asked that then to just really ruin it. Oh, my bad. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Oh. Huzzah. What?